Still no camera. Well, people. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to talk, and if you want to stick around out, I'm certainly willing to continue to do this. However, there is not going to be any video, and it is not me. Here's the crazy thing: when I leave this platform, this camera instantly fires. I went over and messed around with a feed. This camera jumps to life, except here. The back door to success is failure, my friend. The back door to success is failure. So here's the deal, people. Let me tell you about my day. I'm trying to get rid of my phone because I'm paying way too much money for cellular service. Right? That what I'm paying is through the roof. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's no other way to put it. It is ridiculous. So I go and I try to figure out a way that service, but they will not let me out of my contract. I don't have a contract. I bought my phone for cash, but when I call up this company, and it's Sprint, when I call up the company, Sprint says, no, what happens is you got to blame that on the other one, T-Mobile. So when I call T-Mobile, they go, no, you got to call Sprint. And I'm like, this is like a Saturday Night Live sketch. But this went on literally for hours. So I said, you know what? I'm going down to the place I bought this phone because they keep saying that I still owe money on it and I paid cash. So I drive all the way down there, right? I go cruising on down and I walk in and see the guy and I said, look, can you pull up April the 9th last year? I believe that's when I bought my new phone. Poof. He pulls it up. Yeah, absolutely. Paid cash. I got the receipt, all of it. Now, you would think that might be the end of it, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you think at that point, one of them would say, wow, this is our mistake. Yeah, we need to fix this. No such luck. That didn't happen at all. In fact, what they did instead was just nothing, for lack of a better way to put it. They said they are opening an investigation that is going to be, they're going to try to fix it. If the investigation finds in my favor after 7 business days, then I might have an opportunity to take my phone that I bought for cash to another network. If not, he says, you're going to have to just stick with Sprint because that's the only thing. I said, I will throw this thing in the street in front of a bus before I stick with you guys. You know, the amount of time you have wasted in my life. So when I leave this place, I'm not in the best of moods. To be really honest with you, I'm kind of impressed at how good I did because I didn't scream and I didn't, there are times where I really would have gone nuts on this person. And I didn't. So, but I got in the car and I was not in the best of moods. Truthfully, I wanted to rip someone's head off. I drive away, I'm going down the road, and what do I see in the rearview mirror? Red and blue lights. I get pulled over by the police. And sadly, because the officer actually said they were going to come by and check out the lifeboat. And they won't be able to see us on this one, so they probably won't even stop in. But the officer, I'm going to call the officer Officer Jen, because that's not the full name, but it's close enough. That was in the name. Anyway, it was a female officer and came by with a license, registration, proof of insurance. The reason I pulled you over is the sticker on your license plate, the registration, it's expired. So I said, well, that's really odd. Because, I just put it on there. I literally just had this car done. Well, sometimes, they're not in sync or whatever. I need all of your stuff. Can you give me? So I hand all the stuff over. Comes back to the window. Is there anything in this car that I need to know about? Guns, knives, drugs, a bazooka. I said, no, there's nothing in the car that's going to hurt you. Disappears for a while, and I could see her partner on the back of the car, so passenger side, 4 feet behind the car, pulling on black leather gloves. right? So that they can accost me and ask to search the entire vehicle, which is pretty much standard operating procedure. And I got both hands on the steering wheel, and the woman comes sauntering back up and says, "So, what are you on probation for?" And I said, "I'm going to keep my hands on the steering wheel because the last time I told an officer they pulled a gun on me and stuck it in my face." I said, "So I would like you to be calm because I haven't done anything in a really long time, but it was a lot of bank robberies. That's just what it is. I robbed banks." I said, "But I've been sober a really long time," and I told them about the lifeboat. I'm like, "I haven't done anything in like 7.5 years." I said, "But when you walked up to the car, I was shaking like something fierce because I'm always going to do that, people. I had nothing to hide, nothing, and I'm looking at my hand, and it's just shaking like it was just awful, right? It really was, and it just gave me that feeling. And then it occurred to me, and I said, so the sticker on my license plate doesn't say 2023 on it?" And the officer said, "Well, actually," I said, "actually, you were looking for me." Right? They ran my plate for no reason. I had not done anything wrong. They got behind me and they ran the license plate because I've got a designer plate and they know who it comes back to. And they figure at some point I got to screw up. So they'll come up with a reason to pull you over. Doesn't matter what the reason is. They just want to see if maybe there's a handgun on the seat, right? A bag of money in the floorboards. If they got any reason to believe I'm smuggling drugs, they just want something. Then after the fact, this officer was actually very, very nice and said, "It's so rare that we hear of anybody that is doing well. When we pull over the people on probation," and the way she said it kind of made me think that like maybe they're ROPE, the repeat offender, task force, because those people just ride around looking at people that have been incarcerated to see if they're doing anything wrong, which I don't know, that doesn't sound all that constitutional to me, but I don't have any rights. As of right now, I don't have any rights. I know that I can't see what you guys are typing, but I guarantee you that people are typing, there's something wrong with that. It's against the law, all of those things. And you know what? It is. You're absolutely right. But what it boils down to is I don't have any Fourth Amendment rights currently. I'm about to get them back. I am about to get them back, which is something that is, kind of exciting because this is about to come to an end. The amount of time that I've been doing on probation, I've done everything right. So honestly, the big red button thing is really, really frustrating me. And so on my screen in front of me, every screen in the house is black right now. As soon as I cut the live stream, the camera's good, everything's good. This is a fault of the big red button. I just don't understand why. Thank you, Crazy Cat. Here's the deal. What it really boils down to is I'm a convicted felon. Gotta own that. Really don't have any choice. But it was one of those days that it got thrown in my face, not just by the cop, but by a bunch of people. A bunch of people today wanted to point out that I'm a convicted felon. What that means, and anyway. So if you saw the thumbnail, which you probably can't because of how this thing looks right now, up there I have failure is not an option, right? It's a certainty. I mean, people, the self-help books, all the stuff, right? Whatever you do, you don't want to be a failure. You know what a failure is? A failure is the person that stops. A failure is a person who gives up, who says, "You know what, screw it, I'm just going to continue to drink until I die." Or, I'm not capable of doing this. And we've had a person who was really open and honest and came on here and said, funny, open and honest, because he came on here to talk about, a falsehood that he told, but he came on here and said, "I'm never going to be able to stop." And at this point, I don't even think I can really try. So, that probably is more along the lines or more in tune with, the giving up thing. As long as you continue to get back up and dust yourself off, There is no set amount of how many times you got to get knocked down and get back up before something is going to work. It would be absolutely awesome if it could happen that way, but it doesn't. And here's the other thing, people. Epic fails, right? That's a term that was not alive when I was young. The epic fail. However, if it had been alive, if that had been around when I was young, we did a business deal, and there was the internet was brand new, people. This is in the 90s, and it wasn't brand new, but it was brand new to the masses. Windows as a way to surf the web was new. So people, this was the first time that a lot of people had ever seen the internet, right? They didn't have modems, they didn't have anything. And we had a technology that was going to allow you to surf the internet through your television set, which is pretty vicious. And Sony was coming out with one, but we were first to market. The company that I was with was going to beat Sony to the punch. And I was just an ad guy. I was just a person who was working in the advertising department, right? Then what happens is I rose through the ranks pretty quickly. So when they wanted to pitch people on investing, or they wanted to pitch people on anything, if there was a sales presentation that needed to be done, I did it. So my boss, who was, I can't use his name because he was almost famous. He was kind of famous or infamous. But my boss called me into his office, and his first name was Larry. But Larry said to me, hey, we got a show that I want you to do, and you're going to have to come out to California, because at the time I didn't live there. I said, sure, man. What show is it? And I'm certainly not going to tell you the name of the show, because I wouldn't want anybody finding it. But it was a nationally syndicated talk show. Now, producers of shows are always pulling their hair out. People don't understand this as a concept, but they have to book an hour's worth of stuff every single day, right? Every day they have to come up with a way to get enough material to make this stuff fly for a full hour. So we were booked for 5 minutes. Doesn't sound like a long time, does it? 5 minutes. So what does that work out to be? About 300 seconds. Yeah? 300 seconds. Nothing. Got to make sure you get your bullet points in really quickly. So there I am. I'm on the set. And I've had a little makeup dabbed on my face. And, everybody is waiting to see exactly what it is I'm going to be doing. Pretty cool concept all the way around. This internet through the TV thing is absolutely awesome, and really has the potential to become something. And I'm already counting the paychecks. I'm already thinking of how much money this thing is going to mean and how much I'm doing for the company. This is the first nationwide exposure that this thing has ever got. I mean, big time. This thing was in like 4 or 5 million households every single day. So there we go. And if you've never been on a set like that, there's multiple cameras, and the camera that the red light on the front of lights up, that's your daddy. That's the one you got to stare at, and it's going to go, back and forth, and, it's somewhat confusing, but we were off in a little segment with the television set that is set up kind of like a living room. And we get the countdown, 4, 3, and I've got it on the homepage of our company, and I kid you not, people, they went 4, 3, 2, 1, bam! And exactly what just happened to the lifeboat happened to our technology. The only difference is that it was not a black screen. It was white noise, right? Vicious white noise. And I this is not my expertise. I wasn't even the guy that hooked this stuff up. Like, I had an AV guy, and I'm looking for him. People, if you had any idea how long 5 minutes is, how long 300 seconds is, when you're wearing a suit and you got a tie around your neck, about halfway through this debacle, there's no other way to put it, about halfway through this debacle, one of the two hosts cracks a joke. And I don't blame him. I really don't. Right? They're trying to make light because we got to pull 5 minutes out of this. So the person said, well, it seems like kind of a cool idea. Why don't you explain to me what we would be seeing if the thing you got ever worked? And I could feel the red coming out of my collar and crawling up the side on my neck. And I could feel my face getting red. Fortunately, at the time, I was not bald. But if I was, I'm sure that my head would have looked like just a big red. I was really, really hating life. And I remember walking off. You know what? I saw my brother. He knows this story. But this was national stuff. And if it wasn't bad enough, this is the kind of thing, especially when you're young, that you don't just go on and do this. You call every single person that you know in the world to tell them you're going to do this, right? Hey, man, you're not going to believe this. I'm going on national TV. So there weren't too many people that were not watching this. And the embarrassment was just awful. And on the bright side, we didn't have DVRs. People actually had to use a VHS tape back then, or a VCR tape rather. And yeah, they did. They absolutely did. It was an epic fail. And I remember going into my boss's office and saying, I am never doing anything like that again. And he said, what, TV shows? I said, nothing. I'm not going in front of people, because there was a live studio audience cackling at me as well. This was filmed in front of a live studio audience. And it was just really embarrassing. And I said, I'm never doing this again. And he said, yeah, you're doing one tomorrow morning. And you know what? If he hadn't literally forced me to get back up on the horse, he said, man, tomorrow you're just going to go out and do your show. And you're going to be doing it here. And at corporate, we could sit about 150 people. So it wasn't a really big room to get up and talk in front of. But I had the entire audio video department in the building. You know what I mean? So that things went off without a hitch. I almost beat my audio video guy to death, because he literally was nowhere near the equipment or the set or anything for 5 minutes. The 5 minutes I needed him. But this is something that if every person here said had a chance to say, this is the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me, or this was my biggest epic fail, blew this much money on a business deal and fell flat on my face, or whatever the case may be. There was a great example of this. They threw a party in Japan, and this is like every single titans of business, right? Tycoons, business tycoons. These, masters of industry are all going to meet here. And this is big doings, right? This is literally big doings. The prime minister is going to be there. There's going to be all of these people. So there's one dude sitting there, and he's an American, and there were several Americans there. They're going through the first and second course, and they're giving him, the first course was raw salmon and caviar. Here's the deal. If you're really, you gotta love that stuff. If you don't, that might be a little tough on the stomach. You know what I mean? But by the time they brought the third course, which was grilled beef with a pepper sauce, all of a sudden this cat is feeling really, really bad. His head's starting to spin, and he leans over to talk to the prime minister, right? He basically wants to excuse himself. However, it didn't really work out that way, because Kiichi Miyazawa, who's the prime minister, took a full shot of vomit out of this dude's mouth while the entire world watched. And then the individual passed out and fell to the floor. Now, as he woke up, he said, do me a favor, roll me under this table until this stops, right? Until everybody here is gone. Because that cat knew that they were going to be putting this on the news, and that we were going to be watching this for the end of time, right? It was the President of the United States. Some of you may be too young to remember it, but that was the first George Bush. He literally blew chunks on a prime minister. And then the next day had to get up and go out and play the game. Get back up. dust himself off, and then go back out in front of people, and you know they're going to tear you in half. They're going to just beat on you. People of a specific age may remember a guy named Paul Rubin. You guys remember Paul Rubin? Paul Rubin had a little television show, and it also turned into a little bit of a movie. This was aimed at kids. It was really kind of a kid show, but there were older people that watched it. The Pee Wee Herman is the name that he went under. Well done, Zen. Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman then ended up in a whole lot of trouble in a really kind of unfortunate way. I mean, we're all grown-up boys and girls here. He got caught in a adult theater, taking care of business, so to speak, without a partner. How's that? Taking care of business without a partner. And they said he did it like 4 times before they arrested him, which I found one of the oddest things in the world. Like, you didn't just want to stroll over there after the first one. They just wanted to go, let's see how many he's going to do before he gets out of here, man. I'm kind of interested to know how hard he's going to go. But that man then had to walk out on stage for the first time somewhere. He had to come back into the spotlight and get beat on. And he knew it was coming. And I'll tell you something. You wanna talk about guts? His first show back was David Letterman. David Letterman. And he walked out and he sat down in the chair and he goes, "Hey, Dave." And Dave said, "Paul, how are you?" You know, and he said, "Good. Have you heard any good jokes lately?" Hugh Grant, another great example, right? Of people that had to just get back up, dust themselves off. And you look at him and you think, that is a squirrel. I mean, look, that is a epic failure and something that you're going to have to dust yourself off. Put it in the rearview mirror. We tend to think of successful people as never, ever being having failed. The truth of the matter is, the more that someone is successful, the higher the probability that they failed and failed often, right? Because they were swinging for the fences. That's sort of how it works. The more you swing for the fences, the more likely you are to strike out. 1,300 home runs for Babe Ruth and 750 strikeouts, somewhere in there. I mean, he struck out a lot because he was swinging for the fence. Cultivate kindness. Gift and a membership. Very cool. I really think that that's cool. How about in 1962? There was a group of individuals over at a little record label called Decca. And Decca... Oh, yeah, I don't even want to put you on the stand. Johnny, it wouldn't be fair. So, yeah, the Delta. Delta actually had some pretty cool artists. And they had made a name for themselves, primarily doing blues stuff. But they famously, in 1962, wrote on a pink slip, they wrote, "Bad. Doesn't really sound good at all." And that multiple guitar sound, I guarantee you that's going to go away. He proceeded to not sign the Beatles. I can't imagine that was very good for his career. You know, that's one of those things that I think probably until the day that he died, each and every time he got up, he was going to have to remember that failure. Right? Or does anybody remember a guy by the name of Bill Buckner? Billy Buckner, who also made his first appearance after screwing up massively on the David Letterman show. This man just simply had to go and pick up a baseball on a play that he had done 1,000,000 times, and then just a quick little flip over to first base to cement their what do you call it? Baseball. It shows you how much I'm into it. The World Series, right? The final game of the World Series. They were playing for all of it. They just need one out. And the ball goes between Bill Buckner's legs. Just error. Straight error. And a guy named Mookie Wilson ends up turning 2. And the Mets are back in the game. The Mets then win, and then they win the next one. And Bill Buckner, can you imagine? That man had to walk back into his home stadium in Boston, Massachusetts, right? You want to talk about a tough place to go? Under the best of circumstances, walking back into a park of people that wish you were dead, right? Really, really tough. Fenway, I believe, right? It's Fenway Park. Going back into Fenway after blowing, and they were on a 50-year drought or something. They hadn't been to a World Series in 50 years. And one guy cost him everything. And then Bill Buckner had to walk out of the tunnel and onto that field. Can you imagine the hell? And when he went on David Letterman, as he was walking out on stage, Letterman rolled a ball toward him. And when he picked it up, he goes, "See, that wasn't that tough. Couldn't have done that the other day." Pretty good sport. The ability to laugh at oneself. But these are the epic fails. How many do you have? Truly. How many great failures do you have? And I don't necessarily just mean in terms of drugs and alcohol and things like that. I'm talking about in life, the things that sent you off in the wrong direction. I'll tell you the worst epic failure of my life. The worst epic failure of my life was complaining about pain at a party, and a guy said to me, "Don't you usually have a bunch of pills?" I said, "I do. I always have a bunch of pills. I'm out." And he said, "Man, I got straight opium. If you want to smoke it, it's just straight opium. This will absolutely knock you down." Steve Bartman had a terrible baseball incident. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Didn't they almost run him out of the country too? I mean, it was really, really vicious. Oh my goodness. Tommy Bird says so many. But this guy says, "Yeah, I got straight opium. This is going to take away every pain. I guarantee you. This is stronger than any painkiller you ever did." I said, "You put it in a pipe?" He goes, "Nah, it tends to run down through the screens. You just put it on tinfoil and you take a couple of hits." He said, "You're probably going to throw up. A lot of people do the first time that they smoke this." I took 3 hits and then said, "Do you have any of this for sale?" And he didn't just sell me $100 worth. Well, he sold me about $40 worth for $100. But he continued to sell to me and continued to sell to me. And then I kind of ran out of money, at least the kind of money that I could spend on anything. I had a little budget aside from the wife and everything else. I had my own little stash of money. And when that stash was gone, I got so sick I thought I was going to die. And I'm calling friends and telling them like, "Oh, man, I can't explain this. Like, I am dying." And a friend of mine came over and said, "Here, hit this." Took some stuff out of his pocket and I said, "Dude, you got opium?" He goes, "No, I have tar heroin." I've never really considered myself stupid. I do stupid things, to be sure. But I truthfully had no clue. I had no clue. And I was addicted to heroin before I was smart enough to know that I was doing it. I'm dying because I can't get sober. Patrick, I love you, brother. And you come here often, and the window of opportunity is open for you often. Man, you need to send me an email with a number that we can work on. We've tried this like 4 times, and we keep having a hard time. It is absolutely essential that when that window of opportunity is open, that you link up, man. Patrick, please just reach out to me, man. And you know what? Look, can't promise you anything. And this is a harsh reality, because there are people I have tried to help on this boat that I wanted to help more than any other person that ever came on this boat. And, the desire to help somebody doesn't do a thing. It doesn't help in any way. As much as I wish it would, it does nothing. Your desire to help somebody, whether my desire to help you is at a 2 or at a 10, It's got to be your desire. It really does. But if you really want this to be done, man, I think it's a pretty good opportunity. To think or drugs is like cover the pain. The drink or drugs like to cover the pain. Yeah, absolutely. Either spiritual or emotional pain or actual physical pain. There's a lot of people on the boat that have injuries, legit, no lie injuries. And if that's the case, then you really got to do everything within your power to get into a pain specialist, right? And they're not, it isn't the toughest thing in the entire world to do. But if you get into a pain specialist, then these people can treat you. And in the process of doing that, in the process of treating you, you have an opportunity to not break the law and to not do anything that's going to be life-threatening, right? I mean, granted, you'll be doing fent, but you'll be doing alpha fent. And I'll tell you right now that alpha fent is a considerably safer drug. Sadly, it's also a considerably weaker drug. So for a lot of people, when they get in to see somebody and they get put on alpha fent, they're either going to have to do so much of it that it's ridiculous, or it's going to be one of those situations where they got to double up what they take. You get a 60-day supply and you do it in 30 days, or you get a 30-day supply and you do it in 15, and then you're back to the street doing the garbage, and that also means that you got to, up the deal. Also look at natural remedies too. You know what? I am all for any remedy, natural or otherwise. If there is a remedy that can help people get off of an addictive substance that currently is killing 500 people a day, I don't care what you do. I really don't. And I think, the best case scenario would be herbal stuff. I think that's probably the best case scenario. I have no friends who are sober. That's tough, Patrick. That really is tough. And I'll tell you something, it's not all that unusual. When you're in the life, why the hell would you have any friends who are sober? You know how you find sober friends? You got to go places where sober people hang out. But I'm guessing right now, the only places that you're hanging out are places that people are doing dope. And that's not wildly uncommon. It would be really odd if that wasn't the case. That really would be odd. Sorry, I'm looking. I was about 12 when my cousin, a new driver, got in a wreck that put him in the hospital with skin grafts on his legs. That's why he got hooked on pain pills for years when he got married to his wife. You know what? So often, what causes, the initial, you isolate. Well, then you're not surrounded by people that are doing dope. That's probably not such a bad thing. Because here's the deal. There's no reason to isolate. There are so many people in recovery that would bend over backwards to help you. And that's everybody. You're hearing the sound of my voice. Here's a big secret that a lot of people don't seem to get. Once somebody becomes sober, they have an unquenchable desire to help other people get sober. It's a fact. It's like they figured out the secret and they don't want to see other people suffer. They figured out a way to get through life without having to do dope every 8 minutes or every 5 hours or whatever your program is. And boom, now you have a desire to bring that to other people. And that's why I'm sitting here, right? In the dark. Actually, there's a crap load of light in this room. It just looks like I'm in the dark. Man, and every single connection is right. I honestly have no idea what causes this. What's funny is it almost came on. I've got a little thin bar across the top of the camera. It's like the screen wanted to go. It absolutely thought about it, and then nothing. Yeah, we tried, fam. We absolutely tried. And you know what? We kept the show going. It's a lot more like a radio show than it is a YouTube broadcast. But it gives everybody an opportunity to come here and talk to one another, which is really kind of one of the biggest thing here. Discord helps. if groups are on there. Yeah, you know what? Discord servers are cool till they're not. I've actually spent a decent amount of time on Discord servers, not just for the sobriety stuff, but for other stuff. And it really just comes down to each individual, each individual setup. Some of them are great. Some of them just really aren't, and they become, very cliquey and backbitey and kind of strange. But again, it's just going to be the admins and the people that are running it. But I like the idea. I always have, of a lot of people getting together and talking. I think that's pretty darn healthy. So, Patrick, you don't have to feel like you got to be in a room of 35 people. If the internet has showed us anything, it's that you absolutely can get together with people in a virtual situation and lean on people and actually get relationships that can help people get sober. I'm watching it every single day, and I'm watching it happen now for a long period of time. It's truthfully amazing. I'm going to learn the flute solo for Locomotive Breath tomorrow. Oh, man. Ian Anderson? Jethro Tull? Yeah, see, you're a beast. And I'll tell you something. Colton plays a really mean piano. It started to occur to me the other day just how much talent there is on the Lifeboat. I mean, with the exception of me and Mark. You know what I mean? Like the crew of the Lifeboat seems to have a tremendous amount of talent. The captains and such, not so much. But I need to do the same. I drink naked juice in the morning, but I'd probably be better off just having fresh fruit and veggies and blending it myself. Sounds good. Whatever you can do backwards. I definitely can do a backflip on skis, but that was a minute ago. You know what I mean? The picture that you see of that was 2002. Right? That was 2002. So, what was that, 21 years ago? Good Lord, that was 21 years ago? Wow, I'm glad the camera can't see the look of shock on my face. I cannot believe that was that long ago. Franklin says, I played baritone sax through high school. I'm telling you, you know what? The Lifeboat could have a vicious, horn section. I really like the idea. Eventually, if you have an inkling of faith, join a church, Patrick, for real. And that's not a bad piece of advice, really. Cap, just think. You won't have to fix your hair, right? No issue there, right? I don't have to do anything. In fact, at this point, I got my feet up on the desk, like I'm completely relaxed. It's there's something to be said for a bunch of people not staring at you. No, I would have been a lot happier if this thing fired up. I really would. And we gave it a try. You know what I mean? You can go 2 times. I don't want 5 open feeds. It's just going to confuse the hell out of all the people who come when they're not, the live people. I joined a gold panning club. They were cool folk. That sounds like something, honestly, that I would love to do. And I'm in a place where people do it a lot, right? This part of the country, people are super, super into it. Panning for gold sounds like good for dopamine. I agree with you, Hunt. I swear to you, I was thinking the exact same thing. You look down, you see some gold flakes. Like that would be a really cool thing. Brandon Calloway. When I need help, I go to the Facebook group page. I have people who will check in on me and see how I'm doing. You know what? Patrick, please listen to everybody on the deck of the boat right now. For real, there are a lot of people here who are reaching out and trying to do everything within their power to link up with you because they know that the opposite of addiction is connection. And if you're isolating, man, when I go through the list of things that make you do dope, that's one of the biggest ones every single time. If you isolate, there's a thing that we call ANTs. And Patrick, you've been on a bunch of shows, so you've probably heard me talk about ants, right? Ants are automatic negative thoughts. If you want them to get louder, hang out alone. If you want them to burrow deep into your brain, hang out alone and don't do anything, right? Just kill time and do it alone. Silence will become the loudest sound you've ever heard. You will become wildly uncomfortable in your own skin, and your brain will demand that you do dope so that you can get back to baseline. That's just how it goes. And it doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a guy with a disease. plain and simple. And the last time we talked about this, I remember talking about what your habit was. So you're going to have to link back up with me so we can figure out exactly how much of this stuff that you're doing every day and come up with a game plan. But I'm going to tell you something, Patrick. I have had a lot of people that from a distance look like they could not be helped, who have managed to, to get sober one way or another. It's, and there's as many ways to get sober. Truthfully, there are, the methadone. There's a lot of people for whom that works. It's a narcotic and it's a heavy one, but there are a lot of people for whom that works. Thank you, John. Very cool. He's just gifted somebody a membership. Love that. And then Suboxone obviously works for a lot of people, and it seems to have worked better than it was like it seems like they got rid of some of the problems that were really prevalent with methadone. However, there's still issues with it, and it's not for everybody. But Ibogaine, right? I've done that. It wasn't the golden ticket for me that they say it is for, the people love to say just what a great thing Ibogaine is. And I know people who it was the lick. I know people who did it and will swear on a stack of Bibles that when it was done, they had no desire to use ever again. Literally. It just wasn't me. When I tried that, it didn't work. But you just got to keep trying everything. You know what I mean? You got to keep trying everything. You run into guys who are drinkers and they try AA and it doesn't work for them. And they go and they hit Betty Ford, or they go to a really, one of those highbrow sort of like resort spin dry programs. You follow me? It's like a resort spin dry. And the next thing you know, you got these people saying, hey, I've tried everything. It just doesn't work. I've tried everything out there. Trust me, you haven't. Hey, Caucasian Sasquatch. Good to see you. Club Med, right? There was one back in the day, and I would hate to get sued by him, but there was one in California back in the day that I didn't go to. But I sent multiple people from my family to it. And the amount of money that this place was getting was frightening. How do I get people's numbers on here? Patrick, here's what you're going to do. The first thing you want to do is email me on sober@myyahoo.com, because what I'm going to do is we're going to exchange a phone number, and I'm going to walk you through this entire process of how you link up with people, everything you need to know, right? And if this thing wasn't in the dark, I might just do it today, but it's frustrating as heck to not... Yeah, really good to see you. I mean that.
I'm going to keep going.
Charlie is a rock star, right? No question. So, Stacy Michaels was saying that the Ibogaine worked for her for about 4 months. I have also heard that, Stacy. I've heard people, and I don't mean 4 months. I've heard, different things. I didn't want to use immediately afterwards. I didn't. But it didn't. I don't think I made it 4 months. I don't know if I made it 2. I grew up on Happy Meals and fast food only. But In and Out, because, well, it's delicious. I'm in the land of In and Out. I love In and Out. Honestly, I absolutely love In and Out. I think it's just a great place. Joanna W. says, Tommy, you can give my info to others. Awesome. And I absolutely will. I will absolutely do that. And I'm also going to plug Patrick in to Safe Harbors and every other place that we can possibly do anything. You know what? That almost looked once again like that camera was going to go on. Oh, so close, man. That wanted to go on. Yep. I certainly hope that I can get this thing figured out. I have never heard of Ibogaine. What is that? Okay. For lack of a better way to put it, it's a pretty heavy-duty hallucinogenic. You might say that its cousins would be like psilocybin cubensis and an ayahuasca maybe, or DMT maybe. It really is just, it's a strong trip drug. And after you're done tripping, it's supposed to be done. You've been hearing of, you have not tried In and Out? Man, I wish I could overnight it to you. I saw 3 doctors a month, got large scripts each. Different stuff. Doctors didn't know I had other scripts. I was in 8 or 9 days short of meds every month, instantly. Crazy cat? Man, you know what? You are in good company. Hey, Spanx Calhoun. Good to see you. Here's the deal. Look up IBO. And there's a lot of literature on it. It won't be too hard for you to look up. But it, as far as the feeling goes, it's like a cross between DMT and mushrooms. I would say that that's probably a pretty good way to describe it. And you kind of have to do it. It's not just like, you know what, I grab some of these, I eat them. There's a whole process to it. Sadly, they're now selling Ibogaine in pill form online for people to treat themselves. And that's a really, really bad idea. It's from the Boga plant. Applebee's is better. I have a Facebook page. I haven't been on it in years. Well, we'll figure it out, brother. It's not too hard to get back on. And you know what? You can start a new one if you want. It's not going to be about surfing. I mean, if you want to, it can be. But, you know, you just need something so that you can plug in and stay in contact with these people. In-N-Out Burger on the West Coast. Somebody I know just raved about it. Yeah, well, it's really good stuff. It really is really good stuff. I don't know anybody that's tried it and didn't like it. And that's the truth. I don't know anybody that has tried it and not liked it. But it's good stuff. Alrighty, peeps. Oh, you know what? So, alrighty, peeps. You know what? We are probably... You know, I would love to just stay doing this. It is so hard to work with, you know, I suppose if you do radio, Cultivate Kindness, good to see you. CK. Dennis N. Glad you're here. I'm glad you're here in the dark. That goes for you too, Spanx Calhoun. Oh, did you see that, people? That literally just, oh man, we had a split second of it. This is the big red button. This is most assuredly not our equipment. This is the big red button. Patrick, don't email me tomorrow, right? Don't wait a day to do this. The window of opportunity is open currently, right now. So when I end this thing, send me an email to sober@myyahoo.com. Did you see that flash, people? They're trying to get this thing on. They really are. They are trying to get this thing on. I don't know why it is giving me the business, but it is most assuredly giving me the business. All right. See, it's one to go. It's good to hear you, Captain. Yeah. Turn the lights on, Tommy. Yeah, you know, that probably would have... Oh, that's, you know, man... Why didn't I think of that? Sadly, I wish that were the case. Yeah, so please reach out to me and don't take a lot of time to do it. If your join is pending, it will probably be going through today. Do you see that? It wants to go. That'd be just about perfect too, right? is going to kick this thing on and start showing video of 5 minutes to spare. That would be the day I've had, people. So I also wanted to finish up with how I started. So I'm on the side of the road, and I'm thinking to myself, honestly, and this happens just about with everything because of the lifeboat, but I find myself looking at things and thinking about it in terms of sobriety, in terms of the boat. And we talk about triggers an awful lot and, different things that trigger you or whatever. I'm here to tell you that the memories that, flooded me, when I got home, I didn't get home with a lot of time to spare, people. But even when I got home, it wasn't like I could just shake it off. We can't see anything, Tommy. That's just on your end. Okay. Well, on all 3 screens that I've got, it will fire briefly for like a split second. And it's trying. Yep. There will be no squirrel. There absolutely will be no squirrel this evening. And sadly, she jumped up in here and was here early for duty. Weren't you, kitty? Hey, there you go. Hear that? Look at that. She made an audio appearance. Good job, squirrel. He's always on ready to roll. Always ready to roll. Yes, no question. No question. Alrighty, peeps. Well, I truly wish that I was able to... you see what Diary of a Madman says? Hey, Patrick, reach out to me, man. Right now. Please don't wait. And you know what? That's damn good advice. And start popping off to every single person that you can reach out to, because that's going to, triple, quadruple, whatever your chances for success. And that window of opportunity, man, I promise you, it opens quickly and it closes even quicker. And that's sad but true. So, yeah. Cheers from Zen Wen, Arizona. I love squirrel. I do too. Squirrel is a superior animal to almost everybody and everything else. She really is just top shelf. Top shelf. Bert Miranda, I have no idea what you're talking about or what you said, but I guarantee you that you didn't offend me, brother. So, yeah, Patrick, if you reach out to me, I'm going to give you contact information. I can give it to you on a bunch of people. I've got numbers for almost everybody. And you'll get the opportunity to, we can talk and I can find out a little bit more from you as well. So, yeah, solid. All right, Leisure, Stacy Michaels, Cultivate Kindness, Conky Donged, Zenwen, or as I call her, ZW, Miss Herman Hill, Kentucky. One of us owes the other one a text message. I think you owe me. Miss V, Joanna W, I am the noise operator, brother, and Mr. Wolf. All right, peeps, this is the end of the night. Trust me when I tell you there's a squirrel in a basket. All right? I am Captain Tommy Scoville. I will be back on the 5s. That'll be tomorrow morning. And I really hope I'm not doing a radio show. You know what I'm saying? Really hope I'm not doing a radio show. Thank you for hanging as long as you did in the dark. It says an awful lot about your commitment to sobriety. I'm impressed. God bless everybody. We'll see you on the deck of the boat. Patrick, waiting on you.